Hello YouTube or Instagram or wherever the hell I decide to upload this. But this is my 2021 end of year twice photocard, or not just photocards, like, other paper, my twice collection review, I guess, or wrap up. This is the first video of its kind. I think I'm gonna upload this on YouTube, so I think this will be the first time on my YouTube channel I'm showing off my photo cards. If you're seeing this from Instagram, then I've uploaded a couple of story highlight. I did a 2020 end of year recap of my collection. Then I did a mid-year 2021 one 6 months ago. But if this is the first time you're seeing my photo card collection, let's take a look. In terms of progress I've made in 2021, or that I made over 2021, I actually made a lot. I went back and actually watched my end of year 2020 recap for my photo card collection, and this binder is Like We Walk Through Merry and Happy. So all their eras from debut up until just before What Is Love. I've actually made a ton of progress on this binder. A lot of these collections were not even, I think this page had literally, well, this page is not a good example because I'm still missing 4 cards, but I added Sana and Sui to this page in the year since I filmed my last, my end of 2020 video. This part of my binder, page 2, as you can see real quick, this is a whole photo card set. This is page 2, like the era is complete. I guess I should mention, the Story Begins page is only one page. It's not, you'll see I don't have a page for the baby cards. That's because initially when I was collecting photo cards, like starting to collect twice cards, I wasn't really that interested in collecting the baby cards. I'm still not super hyped to do it. It'll probably be down the line. I do think I will end up collecting them just for completionist sake, but they're not here now because I kind of was on the fence about collecting them initially. Those 2 sets are actually the only, spoiler, they're the only Korean album sets for any other albums that I, actively decided not to collect, and that'll probably change, like I just mentioned. But yeah, page 2, completely done. This was not the case when I filmed, or at the end of 2020. Every single one of these pages was missing at least 4 or even 5 cards, I think, for the lenticulars. I just went really hard over the course of a couple months. I think this was one of the first older era full OT9 sets I finished earlier this year. I want to say I've had it finished for at least over half the year. So yeah, knocked this one out of the park pretty quickly in 2021. Twice Coaster Lane 1 is another example of a set, spoiler, that I finished in the year since, in 2021. I just knocked this era out as well. I had a couple months in the early half of 2021 where I just sat down and I spent weeks just, plugging away at buying and trading for specifically this binder, like these eras of cards. So a lot of I've made a ton of progress on this binder over the last year. And that, part of that's here. Twice Coaster Lane 1 complete. Christmas, Lane 1 Christmas edition. I actually very recently completed this page, the selfie card set, the non-hollows. Probably within the last month. I'm filming this in the first week of January. Sometime in December I got the last card I needed, which was Mina, actually. She was the final card I needed for this set. I had only needed her probably for 3 months or so. I just completely stopped looking to complete the set, just because these cards are A, so hard to find, and B, finding them for not kind of ridiculous prices is even harder than just finding them. I finally found someone selling her for, I think, about $15, which is pretty damn reasonable these days for these cards. So I knocked it out. I don't think I had any of these cards at the beginning of the year. I don't think I was planning to collect this set at the beginning of the year, or if I was, I had maybe 1 or 2. But I made a ton of progress on this in 2021. Not quite as much on the hollows. I think at the beginning of 2021, I only had one or two of these holos. I had Sui's, I believe. Maybe Sana's. I cannot remember, if I'm being honest, but definitely wasn't quite as full as it is here. Still missing 4 cards, a little under half of the set, but the reason this set is, complete and this set is still quite a bit behind this first page is that I actually like the selfie cards a lot more, if I'm being honest, like personally, than the holo cards. So like between the two, I tend to gravitate towards picking these up if I have a choice. Obviously now that the selfie set is complete, I'm gonna prioritize just knocking this holo set out of the way, because it's a pretty hard set to complete for a lot of collectors. A lot of collectors don't even touch these cards. So if I can do that pretty soon, I'm gonna try very hard to just, to put it behind me and have it complete here. Lane 2 was actually an era that didn't change at all, because I had actually completed both album sets by the end of 2020. This is actually one of the very first in like all my collecting, career, because I started collecting photo cards, specifically photo cards, like majorly in mid 2020. I want to say right before More and More, so like May or June of 2020. So the end of 2020, like what I recorded, or my collection at that point, was about 6 months worth of trading, buying, selling, like progress basically. And this was one of the first eras, like full eras I had completed. It's only 2 pages, only 18 cards, album cards, so not like, crazy or anything, but yeah, this is one of the first. I just like these cards a lot. I like this era of styling a lot. I think this is an era that gets a lot of flack from a lot of onces. Like Knock Knock doesn't really give that much for a lot of people, but I like the song a lot. I like the styling a lot. The girls were really cute. It was a good follow-up to TT, I think. Signal. I made a good amount of progress for Signal. Signal is another little spoiler is that Signal is actually the era in this entire binder that is the emptiest. It's not that empty. I have over half the cards. It's missing 3 here, 3 for the pink set. This page is a little tragic, missing 6 cards here. But even 6 plus 6, that's 12 cards I'm missing for the whole era out of 27. So not too... Oh no, not 27. Forgot the holos. I have the holos OT9 complete. That was not the case at the beginning of 2021. So that was a big win for 2021 and my collecting during it. But yeah, so out of... What would be 4 times 9? 36. There's 36 Signal cards. I'm missing 12. That's not too bad. A third. I will end up prioritizing getting these cards just because they're the biggest hole in my, in this binder, era-wise. And I really love a lot of the cards that I'm missing. Like, this Chan card is so cute. I mean, this one too. But yeah, I'm going to try to knock these out at some point in the coming months. This set is actually empty because I kind of like it the least out of all the Signal album cards. But it's still, there's still Twice cards. The absolute worst Twice album cards are still gorgeous. So I am excited to finish this set. It's just, if I have the choice, I'll finish these other 2 first. But 2022 for sure. Twicegram is a big... I'm very proud of my progress with Twicegram because, not spoiler, we'll go through it now. Era is complete. All 3 sets. There are 3 sets for Twicegram, 27 cards. Album cards specifically, and I have all of them. I think I had very easily less than half of the album cards for Twicegram at the beginning of 2021. Twicegram, Likey actually, not Twicegram, not the whole album, but Likey specifically was actually my favorite title track all the way up until I Can't Stop Me, like by a huge margin. Like I was the biggest shooter for Likey for years. And, in 2020, they finally did it. They finally dethroned Likey for me with I Can't Stop Me, which is still my current, probably favorite title track. Maybe Perfect World is kind of contesting me a little bit. But, yeah, so I was very excited to complete the set because this is a very, important era for me as a once. So, yeah, pretty happy to have knocked it out. Also, I mean, just gorgeous cards. Like, I love the Polaroid style. And these, the Instagram cards. People, I see a lot of people put this side as like the front of the cards. I don't really get it. I mean, the concept is cute, having them like screenshots of like Instagram style posts. But these photos are just bigger. At the end of the day, I'm here for twice, and like, you know, it just makes more sense to me, at least. I'm not saying anyone should do it this way. Like, you know, if you do it where these are the front, that's fine. Just my logic is, you know, the photos are bigger here. That's the front. Like, this is the side I want to see. I want to see more twice. So, my little rant about that. Merry and Happy. I don't recall what my progress was like for Merry and Happy at the beginning of 2021. I have to imagine it wasn't great. I know for sure this page was not complete. I was missing at least like this upper half of cards, I'm pretty sure. I think I had Dache 2. Spoiler alert, Dahen Chang and Tsui are my top 3. Tsui specifically being my ult. So, not just in Twice, in K-pop. Twice are the only group I really stand at this point. But, so yeah, Tsui is the bias, and then Dahen Chang right behind her. So a lot of the cards you'll see in later eras, if I'm still missing other members, it won't be these 3, generally. But yeah, this page was not complete before, knocked it out at some point in 2021. This page hasn't changed much, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I had these 3 at the beginning of 2021. I might have actually not had Tsui. Because something I did during 2021, I did not end 2020 with all of Tsui's cards up until that point. I was missing quite a few of her older cards. At some point in 2021, I, you know, completed Tsui, you know, pending new releases. But this might have been one I picked up in 2021. I don't remember. Sana was for sure too. I might have just had these 2. I can't remember. Definitely made a lot of progress on this set. Was missing. I definitely had Tsui because I remember in 2017 pulling her card for this album when I bought Merry and Happy. Like, I buy Twice albums. I've been once since 2015. Before they were Twice, actually. I've been once, you know, a fan of them since 16. Like, I watched 16 live as it was airing and being subbed. And then I was instantly a fan of Twice when they debuted. But, you know, part of that is I buy every album, and I bought every album since debut as they released it. So I remember pulling Tsui's Merry and Happy card from my OG copies of Merry and Happy in winter 2017. She was one of the ones I pulled. I don't remember who else I pulled. I might have actually not... Oh no, I pulled Dahen. I pulled Dahen and Tsui. I remember now. From those 2 albums, from the 2 copies I bought. Because I buy all versions for Twice albums. But, you know, aside from Dahen and Tsui, I'm pretty sure I had no one else for this set at the beginning of 2021. So a lot of progress here. Still missing Sana. I'll grab her soon, hopefully. And that is first binder. First couple eras, like we walked through Merry and Happy. Then the big boy, one of the big boys of the collection, is this 3-inch, I don't remember, this beefy boy, this beefy binder. And this is What Is Love through, well, you can see here maybe. It might be hard to read. I'm pointing like you can read, but maybe not. But it says What Is Love through Feel Special. And, you know, picture here is Feel Special. What Is Love? You'll notice I have all the pre-order sets. I actually am missing just one pre-order set in all of Twice's, you know, pre-order set careers for all their albums. We'll get to it. It's in this binder. I'll point it out when we come to it. But yeah. What Is Love? Okay, so all the eras in this binder, What Is Love through Feel Special, at the beginning of 2021 or end of 2020, however, you know, not much difference there, but in that time period of my collecting, you know, history, I actually was not, because spoiler alert, I'm you might have guessed from the first binder, but I'm an OT9 collector. Like, these pages are all, they're not filled yet, but when I'm done collecting What Is Love in, you know, every era of all their Korean albums, I will have full, complete OT9 sets of every single member's cards for each album. Like, I'm an OT9, Korean album at least, card collector. That being said, that was not the case at the beginning of 2021. I collected, at that point, I was only planning to collect, for What Is Love Through Feel Special, at least, I was only planning to collect Dahyun, Chaeyoung, Sui, and then, as my top three, and then one extra member, my number 4 and twice, who was Nayeon at the time. That didn't last very long, actually. It was pretty early into 2021 where I made the change to, no, I really love collecting photo cards, like their Korean album cards, and I love all the members a lot, enough to where, like, I'm down to just be an OT9 collector. It'll take more time, obviously, and I'm still not super close to being done, but I made a lot of progress. So, a big goal for 2022 will be to try and get as close as possible to completing all the previous eras OT9 sets. And What Is Love, I made a lot of progress, actually. I think it's actually the era in this binder, which is What Is Love Through Feel Special. I think it's actually the era I'm closest to completing. I did a count recently of how many cards I needed per era that I didn't have complete already. And What Is Love was the lowest at just around 20 cards. I'm only missing 20 cards for What Is Love. That being said, most of them, the reason these two sets are complete, this one and then this one, are from when I had these as my OT9 sets when I was collecting only 4 members fully. So these are sets I completed OT9 from that time in my collecting period. But for the most part, most of the cards I'm missing in a lot of these eras are just the members that I just basically descend in order of how much I like that member's cards, like picking them. Like I try to focus on one member at a time for completing all their cards. So a lot of the cards that are missing are these 3 members. Not because I love them less or anything, but just because, I happen to like the cards from the members that are more complete just a little bit more. But I will, fill all this in eventually. But Jonghyun, Jihyo, and Mina, spoiler, are going to be the members I'm missing most cards for. You can see here, pretty much only Jonghyun, Jihyo, and Mina for What Is Love are the ones missing, aside from those OT9 pages, like those 2 pages I have that were previously my OT9 sets. This is actually the only Momo What Is Love card I'm missing, just because I'm not a huge fan of the scratch cards, honestly. They're alright, but they're just kind of they feel kind of pre-order bonusy to me. These could have easily been cards they printed for their pre-order bonuses. They're just, they're framed that way. They're not selfies. It's just, they kind of feel like that. And I love twice pre-order benefit cards, the official, JYP ones that come, from JYP themselves in those little packs. But they're just not quite as nice as the selfie card, the actual album cards tend to be. So, this is kind of a lower prio set, but same deal. I'm missing Jonghyun, Jihyo, and Mina, and one Momo in this entire era. This is actually what I was talking about. You'll notice album cards here, 2 pre-order sets, but there were 3 versions of Summer Nights. This is actually the one era I'm missing 1 pre-order set for, and a big priority for 2022 is going to be fine, just because I could have done it at any point. It's not lack of money, or it's literally just me being too lazy to do it. I'm just going to go online. I might do that tonight. I'll just go online and buy the set off eBay or something. No reason not to. But yeah, same deal here with What Is Love for this page being complete. This was one of my OT9 sets for when I was collecting Nayeon, Dahyun, Chaeyoung, and Sui only. Or only fully. This was my OT9 set. One of them. And then for the rest of the era, these 3 still being the big, the big holes in this collection. This is actually one of, how many? I counted recently. This is one of 5, I believe. 5 Dahyun cards in all of her 110 plus. It's at least 110. I don't remember exactly. I counted that too. Each member has 110 plus cards for their Korean album, like for all their Korean album releases up until up through Formula of Love. And I'm only missing 5 Dahyuns. Dahyun is my number 2, by the way. So my top 3, I'm only gonna do 3. Like top 1 is Tui, 2 is Dahyun, 3 is Chaeyoung, and then I love all the members too much to really number them after that at this point. But yeah, so Dahyun being my number 2 is my second most complete member. Tui is my most complete because I just have all her cards. But only missing 5 Dahyun cards. Huge priority for 2022 is to just knock her out. Well, knock her cards out as far as me needing them. Yeah, now for Summer Nights, like I said, What Is Love is my most complete era in this binder, in this chunk of eras. So we'll start to see gaps that aren't just Jungyeon, Jihyo, and Mina. I don't have all of Nayeon's Summer Nights cards. This was my other OT9 set, because for Summer Nights, Twice collectors will know that how it works usually if you have OT9 sets is, you collect your members, 9 cards for whatever members you collect, and then however many cards over 9 each member has in that era, you collect that many OT9 sets. So Summer Nights, just like What Is Love, usually people collect 2 OT9 sets, and this was my second one. I'm not going to go too into it now, but I had a little bit of a thing a few months ago where I thought I was going to go back to only collecting my top 3 or 4, fully, and I was selling some cards from this binder. That was a mistake, turns out, because I lasted a week, having cards up for sale before I was like, this is stupid. I want all these cards, and I want to collect OT9 still. So I just had a weird thing, a weird episode or crisis. All better now, but I did lose this Mina card that I had before that in that week of sales, in the cards I sold that week. So she's out for now, but I will search for her again soon. This page just missing those 5 members. This page not as empty. It wasn't one of my OT9 sets. It's just a page I happened to randomly, just through normal trading and opportunistic buying, I just have this page a little more complete. Missing these 5 for this page. Have Nayeon here. Nayeon and Momo. You'll see I have a lot of Sana too. Sana, I would say, after my top 3, I kind of don't really care that much to, rank the members. Mostly because one of them, if I did that, one of them would have to be last, and I am not about that. I love everyone in Twice way too much. So I have my top 3 kind of set, and then after that, I don't really care too much. I love all of them insanely much. But I would say Sana is, if I had to choose at least at number 4, it's probably Sana at this point. I have more of her cards, and I just love her a lot. So you'll see a lot more of her cards here than anyone besides my top 3. Jihyo and Mina missing for the, again, the kind of unfortunately pre-order benefit looking special cards. I think these are the message cards. Not much to say there, just missing those 2 members. Oh, I guess show off the pre-order benefit. Like I said, I have all the pre-order sets aside from that one Summer Nights one. This set was gonna be my OT9 set, because for Yes or Yes, there are only enough cards for most collectors who don't collect OT9 to have one OT9 set. This was gonna be mine because back when I was a Nayeon, Dahyun, Chaeyoung, and Tui collector, I had a different OT9 set, but I didn't like it as much, so I changed to this one. But I never really finished collecting this as my OT9 set before I just became an OT9 collector. So I've never had this set complete. This was the OT9 set. It was gonna be my Yes or Yes single OT9 set. I just never completed it when that was the case. Missing Chaeyoung, one of less than 10 cards of hers that I'm missing as well. I'm missing 5 Dahyun cards total. I think 9 or 10 Chaeyoung cards. This is one of them. But yeah, a lot of the same members missing. Have the top 3, and mostly 4. Another one of Daihan's cards that I'm missing, Chaeyoung, and the expected missing members at this point. This set is... Yes actually has by far the most Daihan and Chaeyoung cards missing, I believe. Definitely Daihan, probably also Chaeyoung. Just because overall, I think Yes is kind of my least favorite era, specifically in terms of the photo cards. I don't know. I mean, they're gorgeous. Like, again, baseline, the worst Twice cards are still killing it, like killing the game completely. But just, compared to some of their other, frankly, amazing eras of photo cards, I just think SRS is kind of okay. So it's like kind of my lowest priority era, I would say, for completing. It's probably my emptiest in this binder. Or like the one I'm missing the most cards from. Just because I don't really tend to gravitate towards looking for these cards over other era cards I'm missing. But still pretty good progress. I don't think there's a single era that I'm missing more than half the cards for. I think I'm over the halfway point for every single era. I would need to count Yes or Yes. Yes or Yes might be the only... If there was one exception to that, it would be Yes or Yes. I just don't know for sure. I would need to count to be sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm over halfway for Yes or Yes. Oh, well, okay. With the exception, asterisk, with the exception of Year of Yes. I believe Year of Yes is actually... People consider it like a special era. Some people don't even... Some Twice collectors don't even collect these cards. They consider them the same as like the Christmas cards, like this like upper tier of like yeah, they're album cards, but they're kind of like special cards, I guess. I don't really agree, but that's fine. They are more expensive for sure, just because of their limited availability and how many came with that album as opposed to normal Twice albums at this point. But yeah, missing over half for these cards. 3 of the Chaeyoungs that I'm missing are in this era, actually. So that's fun. But yeah, okay, so yeah, the Year of Yes is the exception to, what I said earlier about having at least half the cards for every era. Definitely not true for Year of Yes. I really love these cards, so I wish I could make completing this set a higher priority. But they're just hard enough to find and just expensive enough that it's like, I had to like, they're basically a middle priority. Like, I'll pick them up when I can, especially any that I'm missing for Chaeyoung. If I can find, I really want Chaeyoung. For Chaeyoung specifically, her Year of Yes cards are high priority for me, and then the other members I'll take when I can get them either reasonably priced or like in batches instead of just single cards, because that's usually more efficient. Fancy You. For Fancy You, I didn't make a ton of progress in Fancy You, mostly because Fancy You was one of the eras I collected the fastest initially. When I started collecting photo cards, I have all of, from this point on, the spoiler, but from this point on, from Fancy You forward, not missing a single card from any of my top 3. Maybe, okay, I was going to say top 4, that's not true. I am missing a couple Sonic cards, but definitely top 3. We've seen the last missing card in Year of Yes for Chaeyoung, and then not missing a single card for Daihan or Tsui for the rest of this binder tour. Or the Korean album binder tours, at least. But yeah, Ring Pop set, really high priority set for a lot of people. A lot of people love this set. I would like to knock it out sooner than later as well, just because it is so kind of notoriously difficult to get some of these cards. Sana's specifically, and Chaeyoung's. This set might be the hardest these might be the 2 hardest cards for these 2 members, if I'm being honest. Like, in all of their Korean album cards, these might be the 2 hardest to get. Just because a lot of people collect this OT9 set, and a lot of people specifically really love these 2 cards, like, out of this set. So glad I have them, Sana's especially, just because she's notoriously hard to collect in general. Yeah, completed this set. Pretty close to completing this set. I really love this set. I love most of their signature sets in all of their eras. Anytime they're signing a card, usually those photos tend to be pretty nice, and then I just love their signatures. missing a lot of kind of expected members at this point for Fancy You. Momo is actually a member that I have a lot of cards, not because I specifically went and looked for a lot of her cards, but because I just happened to luck into a really good deal on a ton of her cards, like I think close to 50. Like I legit bought 50 something like 50 Momo cards from one person. Super good deal on the price, and a lot of them were cards I was missing. So Momo actually, when I got that in, she went from being either tied for or maybe just straight up my least complete member to actually my most complete member outside of my top 3, even more than Sana, I think, if not very close to Sana, which was just crazy. That was a crazy day. That was probably the craziest mailing day I've had since I became a photocard collector. Just getting 50 photocards in a parcel is just pretty nuts. But yeah, Fancy You, pretty good progress on this. Most of these pages were missing everyone that wasn't my top 3, and also some of my top 3 cards, my top 3 members cards at the beginning of 2021. So I've made a good amount of progress on Fancy You. And Feel Special. Pre-order sets. Now Feel Special, like a bit like Fancy You with the Ring Pop set, has a kind of notorious set. Not this set. I don't think I mentioned it before, but for most of the eras, like most of the previous eras that I flipped through already, I actually organize, because there's no real methodology, like there's no real official way to order the sets. Like if you're an OT9 collector and you have your pages for each, OT9 set, there's no like standard order they should be in, really. So I just literally sat down. I was organizing my binder and like how I wanted each era ordered. And I was like, I'm just gonna put favorite to least favorite. So as we were flipping through just now, you didn't know it at the time because I didn't say it, but each of those eras was actually, the sets were in order of how much I liked them, descending. So the ones I liked the most at the front of each era, and then the sets I liked the least at the back. And that's the same for Feel Special. I really love this set. This is probably my favorite set in this entire binder. I just think the photos are super nice. This is one of Tsui's like greatest cards. I love this card so much. Mostly because I just love that she was styled so well in this scene. But yeah, all the members killed it. This is a fantastic Nyan card. And it's followed by sort of its like twin or like sister set in the same era, the white border cards. And the photos for the white border cards are pretty much just as good as the black border cards. Nyan's photo, probably even better than her black border one. Dahyun's amazing. Tsui is not quite as... a lot of people like this card for Tsui, like more than the black border one, at least from my understanding. I don't. I like the black border one more just because she's closer and you see more, like, you see her better. But I do like the framing of this card. This is a really nicely composed photo. Like, there's still a top tier Tsui card, just not quite as good as this one. And then Chaeyoung, like this Chaeyoung card just killed it. So now this is the set that a lot of Twice collectors will be will like kind of gravitate towards when they do collect OT9 sets for Feel Special. Like, how I mentioned that whenever people collect not all the members, they usually collect 1 or 2 OT9 sets per era, depending on how many cards are in the sets. This is almost not universally, but pretty shockingly close to universally the set that people grab when they need to grab an OT9 set for Feel Special. And it's not hard to see why. They're kind of out of place with a lot of the other cards in the era, just because Feel Special, like, I guess infamously, is the era where they did away with member border colors on, like, the fronts of the cards. This might be the last set in all of Twice's Korean album card sets that actually has, like on the front of the cards, the member color borders. So I think a lot of people really like it for that reason. It's kind of like a send-off to that idea that we've seen so much in the previous eras, as well as just being like kind of like really nice looking on its own. It's like very like, it's kind of like a rainbow sort of on the page. Yeah, I mean, I get why. It's just, you know, it's not my personal favorite set in this era. That would be these two, but still super solid. And then all the other Feel Special cards, super gorgeous. The signature cards with the flowers. This is another really popular. I think this set is definitely the most popular for being like people's one OT9 set, one or two OT9 sets. This is another one. These two, these flower sets, the silver or the gold flowers, or like the silver ball like slash flower, whatever this you want to call this set. Like these two are also really popular for being one of people's OT9 sets for Feel Special. But yeah, Feel Special is another era where you can kind of see like, you know, these are my top three. Missing a lot for everyone else, but I'll fill out Feel Special over time. I've made some decent progress outside of my top three during 2021. I didn't have any of these three at the beginning of the year. Not these three either, so not too bad overall. Yeah, the gold cards, which are definitely pretty low prio. I don't really like the gold cards. I like them. I do actually like the border a lot. Like I like the gold part of it, but the photos are so zoomed out. I cannot stand landscape cards, specifically because you have to do this shit where they're just, I'm not trying to crane my neck every time I want to see them, especially since the photos are this small. Like they're this small in the photos. But I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. They're still overall pretty nice cards. They're just kind of lower priority because I have some problems with them. But yeah, these are the group cards for a lot of the pre-order set, like all the pre-order sets I have. Here's the filler for the one Summer Nights pre-order set I'm missing, like that group card. But otherwise, yeah, all the ones for the eras in this binder, which is again, What Is Love, do Feel Special, except for Signal as well, because randomly, even though there were pre-order sets for several eras before What Is Love, they didn't start doing group cards in those sets until What Is Love, after which they did them consistently for every single era. Except for Signal. They just threw in a random group card in the Signal pre-order set. Then not the ones before or the ones in the few eras after. Very weird. So the Signal one's in here, just because I'm not going to put it on its own 9-pocket page by itself in the binder that I actually have the Signal cards in. But yeah, that's the chunky boy for What Is Love through Feel Special. And now we come to the last binder for my Korean album cards. Let me make sure this is in frame. Yeah. This is I actually changed binders for this part of my collection pretty recently, so I haven't made a new, you know, like the other two, I haven't made like the front cover saying what eras are in here. I probably will do that soon, but I kind of like having this little Twice University like mini poster, whatever you call it, in the front, so we'll see. But yeah, More and More. More and More is actually, I think I mentioned it earlier in this video, More and More is the era that happened, is the first era that happened after I started collecting photo cards, like started hard collecting photo cards. And what that actually means for More and More onward, like all the eras in this binder, because this is More and More, like, spoiler, this is More and More through Formula of Love, is that I actually have More and More complete. Like, this is an OT9 collection. This is OT9 More and More. I have every single set complete. Just flip through real quick. The reason for that is because I have made it a point, starting with More and More and continuing through, you know, now, to drop every single other thing I'm doing as far as my collection, like what I'm buying and selling and trading for. Whenever a new Korean comeback comes out, again, starting from more and more, I've done this. Whenever a new Korean comeback happens, drop everything else and do nothing else until that era is complete. And I've done that for more and more, Ewo, Taste of Love, and Formula of Love. And I'm usually able, with that mindset and, you know, dedicating however much money and time is needed, I'm usually able to complete the sets. I think the longest it's taken me is 2 months for Ewo, I want to say. Ewo was the one that took the longest of these eras. But yeah, I mean, all these sets are just completely done. I have some of, I don't have, this isn't the case for the other ones, but since not only am I collecting OT9 for more and more onwards, not only am I collecting OT9 for the photocards, which is, you know, the same for previous eras, but for more and more onwards at least, I am also collecting OT9 non-photocard album inclusions. So I decided to put those in this binder. Like you'll see, this is the full set of the coaster cards for more and more. Technically these weren't, these are the accordion cards. These are all the same for every single album. It's not like a huge accomplishment to have these all here, but they are here just because, you know, they're OT9. But you know, these came randomly. The coaster cards came randomly, so this is like a bit of a flex, a bit of an accomplishment to have all these. And then Ewo. Again, just a quick flip through. These are complete. All. I don't remember. I want to say Ewo was 100 cards. However many it was, they're all here. Repping with the last time we got the member colors on any photo cards, even though it was the backs. The unit, even the unit and group cards, like I collect. I didn't show them for page 2 or the story begins, but I do plan to collect those unit and group cards, or I guess they're just unit cards. I do plan to go back and collect those unit cards eventually, but I don't actually have any of those now. But for the new eras, the unit cards and the group cards are not an exception to, you know, I'm not resting until I have these sets complete. Like, you know, they're included too, so I have all these as well. And you saw for more and more, I had all those unit cards and group cards. And even, you know, the message cards for Ewo. Ewo had the lyric posters as well. Those are in a separate place. I'm actually pretty proud of that setup. So I will get to that in just a few minutes after this binder. But I do have, you know, spoiler, I do have an OT9 set of that as well. And a Taste of Love. Yeah, Taste of Love also complete. Kind of randomly when they started to, you know, give us a bit of a break after so many years of 90 plus card sets. Taste of Love, they kind of showed a little bit. Stopped at 45 normal album cards. You know, still gave us some special cards, the lenticulars, the postcards as well, which are complete. Now, you'll notice every single page of photo cards, inclusions, message cards, coasters, etc., pre-order cards, every single OT9 set of anything we flipped through in all the binders so far has been age order. Na Jungmo, Sajimi, Dache 2. For my sanity, I had to break that starting here. Because it's not apparent on this page. So thankfully, thank you Division 3 for this small thing at least. This page at least is safe from, you know, deviating from that. Nayeon Jungyeon Momo, that's age order. Nayeon's tasting card is landscape. So it works with these very standard layout 3 pocket pages that, you know, are sized for this. Like these don't fit like these are the pages these fit in. But we go to the next page and you have to make a choice. Now the proper order going by age, Sana here, Jihyo either like this or, you know, depending, dealer's choice, like this or like this. And then Mina would be here instead of Dahyun completely. When I looked through my binder, I had to make the choice. Do I care more about preserving age order? I do care about that. I would have preferred to do that if I could have. But at the end of the day, I want to see the photos as conveniently and, properly as possible. So to do that, I had to order them weirdly. I still tried to preserve order, like age order, as much as possible. That's why Dahyun's here instead of, Chang and Sui, who also have, portrait, vertical cards. But yeah, for this page, I just Sana had to go here, Jihyo had to go here, and I had to move Dahyun up here so I could put Mina here. And this is not the last time I needed to do this. We'll see that a little later. But come to the coasters, fully OT9, and now Formula of Love. The first album, let me look. I have my shelf right here. Yep, the first album of theirs with 4, technically actually 5, but 4 normal versions. Like, you can see 4 pre-order sets for the first time. So that's cool. I don't really mind that. I think more twice photos is always a good thing. And yeah, pretty recently actually completed the normal album, album photo card set, but it is all here. I want to say I got the last card I needed less than 2 weeks ago. So it took a couple of months, but overall not too bad in terms of progress. And here we come to, I said the normal album, the normal version album cards, and that was all true. That was all, these are all 6 pages of normal, original 4 version Formula of Love album cards, all complete, OT9. Then we come to this set, which is for the 5th sort of special limited version of Formula of Love, the result file. Like, I call it the bag version. Because it just comes in a shitty plastic bag, if I'm being honest. It was cute. I kind of found it interesting to open, to be honest. I kind of liked opening it, like just ripping into the album. And then I had the empty plastic bag with the album inclusions on my bed. And I was like, this is stupid. I hate this. So I hope that's the last time they do it. But it was novel, at least. I've never opened an album in a bag. I know ITZY did something like that last year. But I don't fuck with ITZY like that, so I never opened one of those. So it was a fun experience. One I'm down to leave in the past, though. But these are the cards from that version, which had its own set of inclusions, including one OT9 photo card set. So luckily, they didn't go too hard. I can dream of a world, or I can imagine a world where they were like, let's put 2 or 3 photo card sets in this bag version. But thankfully, they only stuck to 1. Almost complete. This is the only, for photo cards at least, this is the only, in this entire last 2 years of photo cards, more and more through Formula of Love, this is the only page missing any photo cards. So pretty proud of that. Also pretty anxious to get these 2 in. I don't have Jihyo or Mina actively on the way at the moment, but I'm going hard, in the past couple days, especially searching for them. So I'll have them hopefully by the end of January. I'm filming this in the first week of January, as I said before. The break and scratch cards. I actually just bit the bullet. I took the L and just sat down and very gently, methodically, and precisely just scratched all these cards. I was too curious. I'm never going to trade these cards. I'm keeping my Twice collection for life. So I was like, fuck it. These cards are in their final home in my binder, in my collection, so there's no reason for me not to just scratch them off, see them as, God Jihyo intended. And I'm actually pretty happy I did. I didn't damage any of them. Like, all of them are completely fine. It was actually pretty simple. You just have to be, have a gentle touch with them when you're scratching, but not too bad at all. Then something we've never done before for Twice, ID cards. Like actual thick, probably actually a little thicker than credit card plastic, hard ID cards, which I'm actually a big fan of. I didn't think I was gonna be when they unveiled the album preview, but they're just so nice. Like I can't deny, even though the photos are small, which is generally something that, like, in my head, the smaller the photos of the girls, the worse the card is. Like, that's not always true, but generally that's kind of how I think. Like, I just want to see more of Twice in any scenario. But yeah, even though the photos are small, they're designed really nicely. I like the kind of like the contrast in the style of text between like the very clinical study version cards and then the like kind of like handwritten like scratchy writing break it version, along with obviously the photos being in those outfits. And just the cards themselves are so nice. This part right, the text up here is hollow foil. The thickness is phenomenal. Like I said, they actually feel sturdier and thicker than like your average debit or credit card. And they have this really nice matte finish. What I'm impressed most with is actually the print quality. I thought the print quality on the photos on this material was not going to be that good. They look amazing. Like the photos are small, but they still look great. So overall, really happy with that. That's kind of like a, you know, more novel inclusion, something they've never done before. And then the group cards in a 8-pocket page for the first time. I actually think I might go back and do that with the previous eras that have a lot of group or unit cards, like especially landscape ones. Like More and More and Ewo both have cards that could look better in an 8-pocket. Not to think about it, because some of those cards are not landscape, and splitting them up feels a little weird. I don't know. And coming to the end of this binder, finally, are the postcard size inclusions for Formula of Love, which, you know, like I said, for these more modern eras, I go hard at getting full OT9 for every single inclusion, except for the CD plates. CD plates are the one thing I don't really mess with. I don't bother to get OT9 for. But all the actual inclusions in the album, aside from the CD plates, I try to get OT9, and successfully so far for Formula of Love. All the index papers are here, as you can see. Again, you'll see they're not in age order because, you know, some of them, 3 of them, are landscape. I am thankful that at least JYP has the awareness. Oh, my music stopped. We'll just start again. That at least the design team for Division 3, or Twice specifically, at JYP, I'm glad they had the foresight at least to make sure that there are only 3 landscape cards. Because so far, you know, like we saw it with the tasting cards for Taste of Love. We'll see it here, and then one more set of inclusions behind the index papers. But there's only 3. In each of these sets, there's only 3 landscape cards, like among the 9 cards. So they fit perfectly in 3 of these pages. I'm thankful for that, at least. But yeah, had to do some reordering. Still trying to preserve as much age order as possible. But yeah, still all 9 members there. And same deal with these, which are the most recent. These are the result file twins, TWIND. I'm gonna say twined. These are the twined photos. Really nice, actually, on the actual photo paper, which is a bit of a blessing and a curse. A blessing because they're really nice, they feel really good, and the print quality is top-notch for each of these photos. A bit of a curse because they're delicate enough that every single one I bought 6 copies of the result file version because I'm psychotic. But every single photo I got from those albums had varying levels of damage on the front, just because the photo paper is so delicate, and they weren't, you know, they were just stuffed in there like any other album inclusions. So not too happy about that, but none damaged so much that it's even noticeable in the page. So, you know, take what you can get. Was able, again, like the tasting cards, to preserve true age order here. Na Jungmo falls apart instantly on the next page. Had to put Dahyun, the 3rd youngest member, in the number 4, what would be the number 4 slot. I'm actually only missing one of these, so I have Na Jungmo, Dahyun Jihyo, Chaeyoung Mina, Tsui. Super cute. Love this photo. The photo is amazing. One of the cutest photos I've ever seen. The only twinned photo I'm missing is Sana's. I actually am pretty sure I have it on the way, so hopefully be able to fill this part of my collection out pretty soon. And finally, the group cards for all the pre-order sets for every era in this binder. More and more through Formula of Love and space for whatever they do next. They did not have a pre-order set for the result file version because that version did not have its own unique like visual concept. It was just kind of a mishmash of the others, like a compilation version, if you want to say. But yeah, that is the Korean. That's all my Korean album cards up through Formula of Love, their most recent comeback as of just a couple months ago. So pretty happy with my progress in 2021. My collection was a lot less full at this point last year. What do I want to show next? I just have a couple smaller, like much smaller parts of my collection, like binders and stuff to show different stuff that doesn't fit in those first three. This is a binder I'm pretty proud of. This is actually like a larger art print binder. And the reason I needed a binder like this was to comfortably hold certain larger inclusions. This isn't a specific good example because these actually fit in normal like Ultra Pro or BCW one pocket pages. These are the Twice Zine like mini posters, like Twice Zine and Jeju mini posters. I think this was sometime in 2017. I want to say this was around Knock Knock era, Knock Knock Signal era, like between Knock Knock and Signal, early 2017. These actually do fit in Ultra Pro one pocket pages, but I just have them in here because I really like the look of this binder and like how the things that I put in this binder look in these pages. I just think this is a really nice setup that I'm pretty proud of, to be honest. Because I actually struggled a lot to find a binder to these specifications to hold something very specific that I will show in just a second. But yeah, all the Jeju mini posters. And then we come to the reason that I just mentioned about why I actually went and looked for this binder with this size of pages. Because when I got the lyric posters, I was like, shit, there is no clean way for me to store these. Because these don't fit in a one pocket in an Ultra Pro or BCW, like standard A4 paper size one pocket page. They're too tall. They're definitely too tall. I don't remember. It's been a while since I even tried to put one in one of those Ultra Pro pages. They might be too wide too, to be honest. But they're definitely too tall. At the very least, they will stick out way too much out of the top. I hated that a lot. So I looked for this binder, found it, and now comfortably it holds all 9 or 10 with the group poster of my Ewo lyric posters. As well as, I just threw these in here. I actually ended up buying a lot of these extra pages, like filler pages, like of this brand and this binder, like just extra fill pages, because I wanted to future-proof for any other large inclusions that Twice did. Even though I initially only bought this binder and these pages for the Ewo posters, but I was looking for other stuff I could put in here. The Jeju mini posters were one thing I found that fit pretty well. Another was the Feel Special lyric books, which I don't have actually OT9 of. I have Nayeon, Jonghyun, missing Momo, Sana, missing Jihyo, so Mina, then Dahyun, missing Chaeyoung and Tsui. So missing Jihyo, or missing Momo, Jihyo, and Chaeyoung. But I do eventually want to grab those 3 members just because I'm already so close to having OT9 of this inclusion. It'd just be easier for me to just grab them at some point. They're not too expensive either. Finding them is actually the harder part. But yeah, I found these actually fit really snugly if they're put in sideways in these pages. And while these do actually fit in the larger or in the smaller one pocket pages from normal brands like Ultra Pro, BCW, etc., if you put them in portrait, they slide around. Those pages aren't very tight, so they tend to like shuffle and get off center, like tilted, or just kind of jostle around a lot in those pages. So I wanted something, even though they're sideways, and I usually hate that, I just wanted something more secure, which these pages definitely are. They don't move at all. Like, they're snug in here. They're not tight, but they're snug. And it's not too much trouble to flip through and just look at them sideways like this if I wanted to. And the last thing are the Formula of Love, the Target mini posters, which I believe also are too big. I want to say they're too tall. They're definitely not too wide, but I want to say they're too tall for Ultra Pro pages. Even if they're not, at this point, I'm committed to this binder and these pages for like all mini poster style stuff. So I'm not even messing with the Ultra Pro or BCW normal one pockets at this point. Like, this is how I do it. So yeah, they fit pretty well in here. The Target mini posters for each version, all 4 of which I have. I guess technically 5. This is the Break It concept, but it's a different photo. This is the result file mini poster. I don't know if it was a Target exclusive or not. I hear mixed things about that. Some people got them in their albums, some people didn't. Can't really tell if them being from Target had anything to do with that. But it's, it's an official inclusion. It's there. And that is not quite it. I have this mini binder. Mini binders are something I got into a couple months into 2021. Yeah, definitely not 2020, but sometime in 2021, I kind of hopped on the trend, that a lot of other K-pop photocard collectors are doing, which is kind of finding ways to utilize these lower profile A5 binders, these little mini binders. And one thing I use them for is for smaller album inclusions, including the Lane 1, the Twice Coaster Lane 1 photos, the Twice Coaster Lane 2 standees, signal photos. Just go through real quick. The cover stickers for Twice-to-gram, the normal stickers for Merry and Happy, the I guess kind of film strip style sticker sheets for What Is Love, of which I have a lot. I have a lot of certain inclusions just because there was a point in 2021 where if I was bored, I would just go to my Korean grocery store and just buy Twice albums, like, that I already had. Like, I've had every version of every Twice album within a couple weeks of them releasing, depending on shipping. I pre-order every album, every version of every album. So I don't need any versions of any albums almost ever. But sometimes if I'm bored, I'll just go buy an album just to open an album, and that's how I end up with more inclusions than someone who only has one of every version would normally have. So I have all those, Sana, Dahyun, and Sui for these clear postcards for What Is Love. This is actually, so for some of these older inclusions, this is a good example. The standees for Lane 2. I'm not super interested in going and collecting all 9 members for some of these inclusions. Like, I don't care that much about having the other 7 members for the standees. I do like the idea of having all the inclusions for, at the very least, my top 2, Dahyun and Sui. So I do plan to do that. I'm not, it's not the biggest priority, but like an example here, the cover stickers. Like, I'll probably end up buying Dahyun and Sui's Twice-to-gram cover stickers at some point, just because I really want to have full Korean album inclusion sets for, at the very least, those 2, my top 2. Same with the What Is Love stickers. I actually have both of Sui's. The one she's in with Nayeon and Chaeyeon. My number 3, like one of my top 3, so that's cute. Don't have either of Dahyun's. I'm not interested in trading these. I'm gonna keep the ones I have and that I pulled, but I will grab Dahyun's at some point in the future. I already have Dahyun and Sui just from random luck. in my pulls for the clear postcards, so that's cool. Don't have to worry about that, and I'll keep Sana's, obviously. The reason I mention it, though, is because this is an inclusion, these Summer Nights larger Polaroids, that I do actually think I really like these. And I have, again, because I just psychopath buy albums sometimes on a whim, just if I'm at my Korean grocery store, I actually have a lot of these. I have Sana, Jihyo, Mina, Dahyun Cheon. Don't have Tsui, so I would need hers no matter what. But I'm only missing, aside from Tsui, or including Tsui's, I'm only missing the 3 oldest members. Yeah, Nayeon, Jungyeon, Momo, and then Tsui. So since I would need Tsui's anyway, and I'd only be missing 3, and I really like these, I'm just gonna grab, the other 3 members at some point. But again, kind of the same deal with a lot of these other, like, older inclusions. The biggest problem is not really how expensive they are. People don't tend to charge more than a couple bucks for these, just because Twice are so popular. They've sold so many albums. These things are not, like, considered, expensive for any reason, but they are kind of hard to find, just because most people, I think, don't like the idea of having to ship them. So they don't even, like, I'm sure people have ones they don't want in their collections. They just don't list them because it's a hassle to deal with them. The Fancy You lenticular cards, another inclusion, just like the Summer Nights Polaroids. Have a lot of them. Na Jungmo, Saji, Da. So missing Mina, Chang, and Tsui. I would need Tsui's anyway. After I grab hers, I'm only missing Chang and Mina, so I'm just going to grab Chang and Mina at some point, and I'll have that OT9 set. Just knocked out of the way. And then just a couple random, like, official, but not, like, in the albums, not in all the versions of the albums, like, inclusions, which would be the Target cards here for Formula of Love. I bought so many Target copies that I actually ended up with every single member's Target ruler card aside from Momo. So this is definitely one I'm just going to grab Momo and sit on this OT9 set. And then these are the Interpark photos, like the Interpark pre-order benefit photos for buying from specifically the Interpark online store. You actually got these if you bought more than 10 albums, which I buy a lot of albums, especially for, like, more modern eras, like, as they release. So I buy enough albums to get a full OT9 set of this from Interpark, which I did, including, they had a group one too, so I guess I got 10 of these Interpark photos. I kind of consider these official album inclusions, but not really. It's weird. In my head, there's a distinction between, like, something like this versus the ruler cards, which actually came in the albums at Target. So I decided I wasn't really too attached to these photos, again, because they're just teaser photos too. Like, these photos for most of the pre-order benefit, like the store pre-order benefit stuff for Twice, is literally just their teaser photos, like, just cropped to different degrees. Whereas I think, no, these are also teaser photos, but I like these. Shut up. Regardless, I wasn't too attached to the OT9 set of the Interpark postcards or photos, so I got rid of all but my top 4. I did decide to keep my top 4 instead of just Dahyun and Tsui, just because this Sana photo and especially this Chaeyoung photo are too nice. Like, I was just too down to keep those, so kept my top 4 for that. Did end up selling the other 6 photos from that set though. And I think the final thing I want to show is this. Let me make sure this is on camera. This is another mini binder, a different brand, a more kind of like famous brand for collectors, the Beyond E A5 binder. I actually really like it. I think it's really popular because of this little pocket on the front. You can, like, stick a photo card, or in this case a freebie Polaroid that I got. I don't remember who gave this to me. It was someone who sold me something on Instagram. This is very easily my favorite freebie I've ever gotten from any interaction ever with someone, like any trade or sale since I started collecting. So if you're the person who gave me this and you just happen to watch this video, I might link this on Instagram. So if you happen to watch this video, thank you a ton, because I'm getting a lot of use out of it as the cover for this binder. And what this binder is actually my non-album, mostly Tsui cards with a few Dahyun cards. Starting with her Japanese album cards. It's weird, I said this is non-album cards and then immediately say Japanese album cards, but you know what I mean, non-Korean album cards. As you can see, I don't have many. This is by far the part of my collection that is least complete, because as a collector, I've kind of decided to focus first on completing my Korean album collection, which again is OT9, so that's like a big investment. Luckily, I'm actually pretty close to being done. I think of the 1,050 something, or around 1,050 cards that Twice have released in total between all the eras and members for their Korean album cards, I think I need less than 250, which is still a lot, but it's percentage wise, I'm doing pretty good. I should be able to finish this year, like catch up on that part of my collection this year, which is actually a big goal. So once that's done, I'll actually be able to focus on this part of my collection, which is, non-album stuff, mostly again for Tsui. This is just fillers for where I'm going to put all her Japanese album cards once I have them. I actually do have Fanfare actually technically has 2 Japanese album cards. The normal one, which is right here, this is the filler for the normal one, and then the once edition one, which is a lot rarer and more expensive. I do have that card, but it is rarer and more expensive to the point that I actually have it displayed on my shelf separately. It's too far, I'm not gonna get it. I've posted about it on Instagram, I have it. It's in a separate part of my room just because I like it a lot and I wanted to display it. It's like a special card, sort of. I need to start a new page for the donut cards, which actually for the first time since Fanfare, they actually have 2 Japanese album cards for donut. They're the same card, except one of them is hollow and one of them isn't. The hollow ones are so expensive. I think they're also just straight up rarer too. I don't know exactly through what means, but I will have both of those eventually. I do plan to get both of those for Tsui. Not gonna collect Dahyun's Japanese album cards, or at least not planning to yet. If there comes a point where I'm pretty happy with my progress in this part of my collection, like my non-album cards with Tsui, and want to expand the Dahyun part of this, then at that point I may add it. But something I do plan to collect Dahyun for, as well as of course Tsui, is the monograph cards, which I have a few of. Twice-to-gram, Yikes on those 2 blank pages, Feel Special, No More and More on Iwo, Taste of Love. I actually made these fillers before Formula of Love. I need to just update these because this is where the Formula of Love monograph cards will go whenever that happens. And then also collecting Dahyun along with Tsui's Japanese Polaroids. Since these cards are a lot easier and cheaper to come by, no problem at all just committing to collecting all of Dahyun's. They only have, I think, like 20, 25 of these. So not too crazy. They're usually like $3 or $4 each. And then from here, things get very unorganized. There's some semblance of like ordering chronologically by release and like time period, but not completely. It's a mess. These next few pages are just random non-album cards from either merch that I've gotten or group orders I've joined just whenever I happen to see something I know I need. I'm not even gonna bother explaining what most of these cards are. I mean, these are the once third gen fan club cards. I am a member and have been a member of the once fan club since first gen and also for second and third gen, respectively. But I actually sold the entire sets for the first and second gen photocard sets years ago because I didn't collect photocards at that point. Like at the point I got those fan club kits, and I didn't really care to keep them. I sold those entire sets to people, including Dahyun and Sui, which I regret a lot because I just have the empty kits here on my shelf, and I should have at least Dahyun and Sui's photocards for those. I had them, and I just got rid of them because I didn't know that a couple years down the line I would care about photocards. But I did manage to keep these or not sell them before I became interested in keeping photocards and like collecting photocards. So third gen cards at least are good, and I'll grab Dahyun and Sui's first and second gen cards at some point. Daikon magazine cards. I bought Dahyun and Sui's covers for these, so I just got these from buying the magazines directly. These are the Twice University trading cards. Yes, I actually wasn't really planning on collecting Dahyun's trading cards, but I think I will. Mostly because they're not too expensive. They're kind of like some of the other cards I mentioned throughout this video, where like the reason they're kind of tough to collect isn't because they're expensive, because usually these cards $2 or $3 from most group orders that I've seen them for. You just don't really see them pop up very much. They're harder to find rather than being expensive, but I do want Dahyun and Sui's, like all of their trading cards from, not just Twice University here, but Twice Lights, Twai, World in a Day, like all their trading card sets. Like I'll eventually get around to getting all those. Japanese Daikon cards. Don't have Tsui's actually, have Dahyun's, but looking for Tsui's on Instagram pretty heavily since I actually saw her set pop up recently, but I was just too late in DMing the person who had it to grab it before someone else did, so big unlucky there. More random, kind of assorted Tsui cards. University Lenticular. Candy... This is the light bands, like the candy band or candy bong bands, whatever you call it, like the watch light stick. The photo card set that came with that. Then the 2021 Season's Greetings. Wait. Oh, I was gonna say, do I have the 2020 Season's Greetings? I do. I think it's in the earlier part of these pages. Lovely Speaker. Twice University ID card, which have little photos with them too. They're somewhere. I have them somewhere. I don't know where. I need to find those. But this is a little card that came with that little, little envelope, little merch envelope. AR cards for World in a Day. Really love these cards a lot. I love AR cards, and these are really cute photos. Twice Lights DVD. ADLV and Limona. We're starting to get into like pretty recent cards here. This is the ADLV A version. I don't have the B version, which honestly are nicer photos. They're like actual like closer up photos of each member. They're also a little more expensive, I think, just due to how they were distributed. I will pick hers up eventually. They're usually around $35-$40. Not too bad. It's just not a huge priority right now. This, like I said, this entire part, like non-album part of my collection is low to mid priority depending on what cards I see at what prices. But I do buy a lot of Twice merch, and with that, I tend to get photo card sets just out of hand. So I think these were Japanese anniversary cards. They just happen to be, they use Kurakura concept photos, but I don't think these are not technically related to Kurakura. The only official Twice cards I've ever seen with completely white, like these are not sleeves, these are not, like I have them in clear sleeves. These are not like, any like, paper backing I put. These are just the backs of the cards. They're just blank, just white. I've never seen that before. And this is the page that's mostly empty because I'm waiting on certain Formula of Love, like non-album but like related cards. Like this is the Music Plant fan call card. I have the Soundwave fan call card on the way. I do also have all 4 of Tsui's Lucky Draws from Soundwave and With Drama on the way. Don't have any of them yet, but they'll go in here. I also have a couple of Dahyun and Chaeyoung Lucky Draws from Formula of Love on the way, just because I really like the idea of the Lucky Draws. Like, I've never, like, twice I've never done Lucky Draws before, and I don't stand any other groups. So I've never had a Lucky Draw card, but I like the idea of, like, apparently they're made out of, like, the same kind of plastic as, like, the ID cards, or, like credit card plastic. Like, they're cards, but they're, like, hard plastic cards. And I just think that's really novel. Like, I like the idea of that, since I love the ID cards so much. So I actually ended up picking up a couple of Dahyun and Chaeyoung Lucky Draws, even though at first I didn't intend to. Just because the photos I used for some of them were really, really pretty. And again, I just like the idea of the Lucky Draws, so those will go in here too. Season's Greetings 2022, actually. These are the most recent addition to this binder. You might be wondering at this point what logic I'm using to determine, like, why do I collect Dahyun for the Daikon cards and the trading cards, but not, for example, you know, the light band cards, or why do I have Dahyun's 2022 Season's Greetings card? Like, why am I keeping her 2022 Season's Greeting card, but I don't have her 2021 one or her 2020 Season's Greeting card? There's no logic. I literally just, I look at, whenever I get something like a full Hinai set of cards, I look at Dahyun's. I want to keep this. Keep it. I don't want to keep this. Don't keep it. Like, that's pretty much it. I mean, Tsui is obvious. She's who I collect completely, so I'm always going to keep hers. But for Dahyun's, it's more kind of like a feel thing. All of Tsui's Yes I Am photo book cards. I will for sure, because the way I'm doing the Yes I Am photo books, I'm pointing to a shelf that y'all can't see. Sorry. I do have both of Tsui's versions of the photo book, and I do have one of each of the other non-Tsui photo books. So Sana, Mina, and Jihyo so far. I do have one of each of those versions. I initially was planning to collect both versions of the photo books, along with all of their, all 4 of each of their cards that come with the photo books. I was just planning to collect all of it, like all the photo book versions for each member, all 4 of the cards for each member. But I just kind of wasn't feeling it super hard after Mina's came out. Not because of Mina or anything, like specifically with her or her photo book. I just kind of wasn't super committed to the idea at that point. I do, obviously I'm gonna keep Tsui's because she's my girl. I do plan to also get all 4 of Dahyun's cards as well as both versions of her photo book when it comes out. But for the other members, I'm probably just gonna stick to getting one version of their photo books when they come out, and then I'll probably sell the cards whenever I get them. And then miscellaneous, not really photo cards. This is it's like a signature card that came with the light bands, I want to say. I'm pretty sure. And then this came with the Twice Lands. Was it? Yeah, Twice Land the opening, not the Encore DVD, but the original tour DVD. This is just like a random lenticular card. It's like a group card. But that's actually it. That's the end of my non-album card binder. That's not all of my collection. Obviously, I am not showing y'all a shelf that has a ton of albums, photo books, monographs, etc. I'm also not technically showing you all the binders of paper inclusions I have, but those binders don't have anything super interesting in them, just random either dupes or other bullshit that isn't really that interesting to most Twice collectors, including kind of me. But thank you for watching this entire thing. If you did, it is way longer than I intended it to be when I sat down, but I had a lot to say, it turns out. And that is my 2021, end of year collection / beginning of 2022 collection status. I'll do another one of these at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, and hopefully a lot of those blanks will be kind of filled in at that point. I'm excited to see what 2022 brings for my collection. Goodbye and good luck with your collecting.